I was just a boy, but I guess that's why this happened to me. I should probably start from the beginning. It was April 1st, 2002, and I was going to McDonald's to celebrate Thanksgiving. My dad was there, and his hands were so moist because he just got off the shift working at McDonald's. His hands were so wet when he touched me. He was on his break, and I was there too with my friend Jim. Jim is my best friend. We've been friends for the longest time, and we've had a sexual fascination with Ronald McDonald. We always thought his smile was just the cutest, and his curly red hair belonged in my asshole. But you guys don't care to hear that. Things got weird when a strange old man came into the McDonald's we were at and demanded that they gave him all of their Happy Meal toys. The unattractive lady working at the counter told him that he'd have to order over 200 Happy Meals. At this moment I thought to myself, 200 Happy Meals? I'm in heaven. I got horny at the thought of it, so I sprung up and stood next to the old man. My dad didn't notice this since he was outside now smoking crack. My best bud Jim was sitting at the table with his head down, crying. The old man looked down at me when I stood next to him. I could tell he was staring at my little boy breasts. Oh, they were so luscious back in my youth. The old man reached down and licked my earlobe. This really turned me on. He worked his way up into my ear and started getting really, really deep. Deeper than my dad even. After roughly 2 minutes of this, he pulled out and ordered 200 Happy Meals. All for me. He ordered them to go because he told me that his house was the perfect place to eat Happy Meals and not get molested. So I walked over to his car with him. He was driving a 1970 Ford Pinto, one of my all-time favorite cars. I got in the passenger seat, but this upset the old man a little bit. He said, "Don't you want to sit on my lap?" I smiled so hard that my butt cheeks clenched. I jumped up on his warm, comfy lap, and we drove off. I could feel his erection bleeding through the worn-out jeans he was wearing. I tried to move myself away from this, but he kept moving me back, centering my butt crack with his solid wiener. Finally, we arrived at the old man's house. His house was in a part of town I've never been to. There weren't any other houses around, except for the Home Depot that was across the street. When we got inside his house, I was overwhelmed by the smell of fresh diarrhea. However, I didn't cover my nose. The smell was rather soothing, almost arousing. He showed me to his basement with a large grin on his face and a twinkle in his eye that reminded me of my grandparents before they'd have anal sex in front of me. His basement was dark and damp. It reminded me of my own asshole after I shart. He took me down into his back room where there were all sorts of McDonald's memorabilia, old photographs, all the McDonald's Happy Meal toys ever made, and a Ronald McDonald vibrator. Hell, even the first McDonald's sign. "This place is so neat," I said in a voice that made me kinda sound like the Hamburglar. I could tell that the old man recognized this voice when he removed his big black coat. Underneath this coat, he was shirtless and covered with the McDonald's M. The M's were carved into his skin and penis. He showed me to the table where we would eat. I placed the Happy Meals down on the table and sat down. The chairs were very strange, however. Instead of having a spot where you place your buttocks, there was a small hole. "It's much more comfortable to sit in that chair if you don't have pants or underwear on," the old man said. Listening to what the old man says, I removed my pants and underwear and sat down in the chair. My butt cheeks were now dangling ever so gently. My little wiener started to tingle because of the smell of the delicious McDonald's fries. The old man grabbed what looked like a key off of the wall and walked over to a little closet. He unlocked the closet and took a step back. Everything was quiet at first. The only sound in the room was of me scratching my ballsack. After what felt like an eternity of silence, the closet door slowly opened, and a disturbing figure came out. It was Ronald McDonald, but No, not the Ronald McDonald that gave me wet dreams. No, this Ronald McDonald was that of poop and farts. He wasn't the cute clown that I masturbated to. That wasn't the same grin that I wish would toss my salad. This wasn't Ronald McDonald. This was a monster. This was God. I jumped up out of my seat and ran upstairs, dodging the old man as he tried to grab my butt. I made it to the top of the stairs and made it to the front door. I started turning the doorknob, but it wouldn't budge. I turned around and saw the evil clown slowly walking up the stairs. My penis began to twist, and I grabbed one of the chairs in the living room and threw it at the clown. But the chair just went right through him. I continued to twist and turn the doorknob, hoping to Allah that it would open, but it never did. The evil clown turned into dust and flew up into my anus. And that's why my farts always smell like hamburgers.